Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm so grateful you have joined me today, and I can't wait to dive into something that has the power to change your life. There will come a time when a woman will hurt you. Maybe she betrays your trust, disrespects your heart, or walks away when you thought she was here to stay. And in that moment, everything inside of you will want to react. You will feel the weight of anger, disappointment, and even the desire to strike back. But listen, there is a way to turn the pain into power. Do not give her what she expects. She expects you to be broken, to lash out, to argue, to seek revenge. But instead, give her the one thing she cannot handle, your silence. Silence is the language of kings. It says more than words ever could. It says, I am not controlled by you. I am bigger than this moment. When a woman sees you unshaken, she will question everything she thought she knew about you. A man who knows his worth does not beg for love. He does not chase validation. When you carry yourself with confidence, even in pain, you confuse those who expected you to crumble. The greatest response to hurt is growth. Elevate yourself. Instead of wasting energy on resentment, invest it into becoming the man you were meant to be. When she expects bitterness, give her kindness. Not because she deserves it, but because you refuse to let her actions dictate your spirit. There is nothing more confusing than a man who remains gentle when he has every reason to be hard. It makes her question whether she really had the power to break you. Do not waste time explaining yourself. Do not seek revenge. The greatest revenge is success. The greatest victory is moving forward with dignity. Let her wonder why you didn't fight, why you didn't plead, why you didn't chase. Let her sit with the reality that she lost a man who knew his worth. And above all, lean on God, not your emotions. Because when you walk with God, you don't need to prove anything. Your strength comes from a place you cannot reach. You are not led by impulse, but by wisdom. And that, more than anything, will leave her confused, wondering how a man she thought she could break became the one thing she could not shake. When a woman hurts you, your first instinct may be to react emotionally. You may feel the urge to confront her, demand explanations, or express your pain. But the moment you respond with anger, frustration, or desperation, you give her control over your emotions. She now knows she has the power to affect you. And when someone knows they can move you with their actions, they begin to take you for granted. Silence, on the other hand, is a weapon. It is a language that speaks louder than words. When you do not react, you leave her with questions. She expects shouting, accusations, or pleading. But when none of that comes, she starts to wonder what is going on in your mind. That mystery unsettles her more than any argument ever could. Silence forces her to reflect on her own actions. It makes her question whether she truly had an impact or if you were stronger than she believed. A man who remains silent in the face of pain is a man who holds power. He does not seek validation or closure. He does not need to justify his pain. He understands that the most powerful response is no response. When you walk away in silence, you communicate that you are not dependent on her reactions to define your worth. You show that your emotions are not easily manipulated. This does not mean you suppress your feelings. It means you channel them wisely. Instead of reacting immediately, take time to process. Speak when necessary, but only from a place of wisdom, not impulse. A woman may expect you to beg, argue, or prove yourself, but when you remain silent, she is left with the one thing she never expected: doubt. When a woman hurts you, it is easy to start questioning yourself. You may wonder if you were not good enough, if you should have done more, or if you somehow failed in the relationship. But this is where most men make the mistake of giving away their power. Your value is not determined by how someone treats you. It is rooted in who you are. No person's actions should ever make you forget your worth. Confidence is not about arrogance. It is about knowing who you are even when others fail to recognize it. When you maintain your value, you refuse to let someone else's decisions define your self-esteem. A woman may hurt you, but that does not mean you are lacking. She may walk away, betray you, or take you for granted, but that does not mean you should shrink yourself. Your strength is measured by how you handle rejection and disappointment. A man who knows his value does not beg for love. He does not chase after someone who does not appreciate him. Instead, he carries himself with dignity, understanding that his presence is a privilege, not a burden. If someone chooses to walk away, let them. If they take you for granted, let them learn the hard way what they lost. The moment you lower your standards to seek approval, you give away your power. Hold your head high, even in pain. Walk with confidence, even when your heart is heavy. Let your actions reflect your worth, not your wounds. A woman may expect you to break, but when she sees you standing strong despite the hurt, she will realize that she never had control over you in the first place. When a woman hurts you, the natural response is to feel resentment. You may want to lash out, make her feel the same pain, or prove a point. But resentment is a prison that locks you in a cycle of emotional turmoil. The more you hold on to anger, the more power you give her over your mind. True strength is not found in retaliation. It is found in self-control. Kindness in the face of hurt is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of maturity. When you respond with grace instead of bitterness, you show that your emotions are not dictated by someone else's actions. A woman may expect you to be hostile, distant, or vengeful, but when you meet her with kindness, you disarm her completely. She will question why you are not reacting the way she expected. She will wonder how you can still maintain composure and dignity despite the pain. Kindness does not mean you tolerate disrespect. It does not mean you allow yourself to be mistreated. It simply means you refuse to let negativity shape your character. By choosing kindness, you show that your heart is not dependent on how others treat you. It is rooted in who you are. This kind of strength is rare and it commands respect. When you release resentment, you set yourself free. You no longer carry the weight of anger, and you no longer seek validation through revenge. Instead, you rise above the situation, leaving her confused about how she could hurt you and yet still see you walking in peace. That is power. That is what makes a man truly unshakable. When a woman hurts you, your instinct may tell you to prove a point, to show her what she lost, or to make her feel the same pain. But revenge is a game that never truly satisfies. It may give a temporary sense of justice, but in the end, it keeps you emotionally tied to the very person who hurt you. The real power lies in detachment, not in proving anything, but in moving forward without looking back. Detachment is not about pretending you don't care. It's about understanding that your peace is more valuable than your pride. When you detach, you remove her ability to control your emotions. You no longer react to her words, her actions, or her attempts to test you. You shift your energy from proving your worth to simply living in it. That is what confuses people the most. Not revenge, but complete indifference. A woman expects a man to chase, to argue, to seek closure. But when you detach, you show that your happiness is not dependent on her recognition. You refuse to let the pain define you. You refuse to stay in a battle that has already ended. Instead of seeking revenge, you let life handle the consequences. When you focus on yourself, your growth, your purpose, your peace, you naturally create the greatest impact. The best way to make someone realize your value is not by hurting them in return, but by showing them they never had the power to break you. When you detach, you walk away with grace, leaving her to wonder why you didn't fight, why you didn't chase, why you didn't sink to the level she expected. And that unanswered question will be more powerful than any revenge ever could be. When a woman hurts you, it is easy to dwell on the pain. Your mind replays the betrayal, the disrespect, or the rejection, making you feel stuck in a cycle of frustration and sadness. But the longer you focus on the wound, the less energy you have for healing. Pain may be real, but it should never become your identity. The only way to rise above it is to shift your focus from what was lost to what can be built. Growth is the most powerful response to pain. When you take the energy you would have wasted on resentment and use it to improve yourself, you turn the situation into an opportunity for transformation. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? Ask, how can I become better because of this? Every challenge carries a lesson, and every disappointment is a chance to develop strength, wisdom, and resilience. A woman may expect you to remain stuck in the past, to let the pain define you. But when she sees you elevating yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, she will be forced to recognize that she did not break you. The best kind of revenge is success, but not the kind that seeks to impress her. True success is when you grow so much that her presence, her choices, or her opinions no longer matter. This is why focusing on your growth is key. It takes you from being a victim to being a victor. It shifts your mindset from loss to gain. The pain will pass, but the person you become because of it will remain. When you focus on growth, you take back control, not just of your emotions, but of your destiny. When a woman hurts you, she expects a reaction. She anticipates anger, pleading, or an emotional response that confirms she still has influence over you. But the moment you become predictable, you become easy to manipulate. A man who is too reactive, too emotional, or too transparent in his pain gives away his power. The key is to remain mysterious, calm, composed, and unreadable. Mystery forces people to think when you do not react as expected, you disrupt the pattern she thought she could control. If she thought you would beg, but instead you remain silent, she is left wondering. If she thought you would be bitter, but instead you continue living with confidence, she begins to question everything. That uncertainty creates a powerful shift in the dynamic. Predictability makes you easy to dismiss. If she knows exactly how you will respond, she holds control over your emotions. But when you keep her guessing, when you remain composed in moments where most men would crumble, you become someone she cannot figure out. And what people cannot figure out, they begin to respect. Being mysterious does not mean playing games. It means mastering your emotions to the point where you do not allow anyone to see your every thought or feeling. It means choosing your words carefully, guarding your energy, and walking with a quiet confidence that does not seek validation. A man who is unpredictable in his strength is unforgettable. He does not chase, he does not react, he simply moves with purpose. When you refuse to be emotionally available on demand, you set a standard. And the moment she realizes she cannot predict or control your actions, she will start seeing you in a completely different way. When a woman hurts you, your emotions will try to take control. Anger will push you to react. Pain will tempt you to seek revenge. Pride will demand that you prove your worth. But emotions are unstable. They rise and fall with circumstances. If you allow them to lead you, they will drag you into battles you were never meant to fight. That is why you must anchor yourself in something greater than feelings. You must let God be your strength. God does not call you to be led by emotions. He calls you to be led by wisdom. Wisdom teaches you that your value does not decrease just because someone failed to see it. It reminds you that your future is not in the hands of those who hurt you. It is in the hands of the one who created you. When you trust in God's plan, you stop chasing validation from people who were never meant to stay in your life. You stop reacting to temporary pain and start focusing on eternal purpose. A man led by emotions is easy to control, but a man led by God is unshakable. He does not seek revenge because he knows God will handle justice. He does not fall apart because he knows his strength comes from something deeper than human approval. He does not waste time proving his worth because he knows he is already chosen, already loved, already enough. When you shift your focus from emotions to faith, you gain clarity. You stop asking, why did this happen? And start saying, God, what do you want me to learn? And that shift changes everything. It turns pain into purpose, heartbreak into wisdom, and disappointment into a stepping stone towards something greater. Pain is inevitable, but how you respond to it defines your future. When a woman hurts you, do not give her the reaction she expects. Do not let emotions dictate your actions. Instead, choose silence over outbursts, confidence over self-doubt, kindness over resentment, and growth over pain. Detach without seeking revenge. Remain mysterious instead of predictable. And most importantly, let God be your strength rather than your emotion. A man who masters his response becomes untouchable. He does not waste time proving his worth. He simply walks in it. He does not seek validation from those who fail to appreciate him. He knows his value remains unchanged. The greatest power you can have is self-control, and the greatest revenge is success. Let your actions speak louder than your pain. When you rise above the hurt, you show that no one, not even the one who wounded you, has the power to break you. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm so grateful you have joined me today, and I can't wait to dive into something that has the power to change your life. There is a powerful truth every woman must embrace. You were not created to be beneath, behind, or less than a man. You were designed with a purpose, given a destiny, and placed on this earth to fulfill a calling that is uniquely yours. But too often, women sacrifice themselves in the name of love, bending, shrinking, and surrendering their power to keep a man who was never meant to have that control over them. Never lose your identity for the sake of a relationship. If you have to change the essence of who you are to be with a man, then that relationship is not love, it is bondage. Love should not require you to become someone you are not. You were created in the image of God with gifts, talents, and a unique personality. Any man who truly loves you will cherish who you are, not try to reshape you into his ideal. A woman must never compromise her standards for a man. Your values, your morals, and your principles are the foundation of your life. When you lower them to accommodate someone else, you lose not only your self-respect, but also the respect of the man you are trying to please. A man who truly honors you will rise to meet your standards. He will not ask you to lower them for him. Never abandon your purpose for a man. You were created with a divine assignment, and no relationship should cause you to neglect the path you were meant to walk. A man who loves you will push you toward your destiny, not pull you away from it. A woman's purpose is not to serve a man's dreams while neglecting her own. Two people should walk side by side, lifting each other toward greatness, not one standing while the other kneels. No woman should ever tolerate disrespect in the name of love. A man who loves you will honor you. If he disrespects your boundaries, belittles your worth, or treats you as an afterthought, he does not deserve the privilege of your presence. You are not a doormat, you are a queen. And a queen does not beg for respect, she commands it by the way she carries herself and by what she allows. A woman should never place her entire financial security in the hands of a man. This is not about pride, it is about wisdom. When you become fully dependent on someone else for your survival, you give away your power. Financial independence is not just about money, it is about freedom. It ensures that you stay because you choose to, not because you have no other option. A man should complement your life, not control it. Never silence your voice to keep a man. Your thoughts, opinions, and emotions are valuable. If you find yourself constantly afraid to speak, to express your needs, or to stand up for yourself, you are in the wrong place. A man who truly loves you will want to hear your voice, not suppress it. Your voice was given to you for a reason. Use it. And finally, never force love. A woman should never chase a man, beg for his attention, or fight for a place in his life. If he does not see your worth, then he is not worthy of you. Love is not something you demand. It is something that is freely given. The right man will recognize your value and pursue you with honor and intention. A woman who knows her worth does not beg. She does not compromise her values, abandon her dreams, or accept mistreatment for the sake of keeping a man. She stands strong in her identity, knowing that the right man will never require her to diminish herself in order to be loved. You are powerful, you are worthy, and you are enough, just as you are. A woman should never lose her identity in the name of love or relationship. When she molds herself to fit someone else's expectations, she begins to fade into a version of herself that no longer reflects who she truly is. Love was never meant to erase a person's individuality. It was meant to complement and enhance it. The moment a woman starts changing her personality, interests, or dreams just to accommodate a man, she sacrifices the essence of who she was created to be. Many women enter relationships with confidence, ambition, and a clear sense of self, but over time they begin to compromise. They adjust their opinions, suppress their desires, and neglect their passions to maintain peace or to be more acceptable to the man they love. They stop doing the things that once brought them joy, start second-guessing their worth, and soon become a shadow of the woman they once were. This happens when they believe that love requires them to give up parts of themselves to keep someone else happy. A healthy relationship should never make a woman feel like she has to abandon her true self. When a woman continuously tries to fit into a mold that was never designed for her, she loses her uniqueness and sense of purpose. Over time, this leads to resentment, unhappiness, and a feeling of emptiness. A man who truly values a woman will never ask her to change who she is. He will celebrate her strengths, encourage her dreams, and respect her individuality. The greatest mistake a woman can make is believing that she must become less of herself to be loved. When she forgets who she is, she allows someone else to define her. And that is when she truly loses herself. A woman should never compromise her standards for the sake of keeping a man. Standards are the foundation of her character, defining what she believes, what she will accept, and how she allows others to treat her. When she lowers these standards to accommodate a man, she not only loses her self-respect, but also teaches him that he does not have to rise to the level of integrity, commitment, or respect that she deserves. Many women start with strong values, knowing exactly what they want in a partner and in life, but when love enters the picture, some begin to make small compromises, overlooking disrespect, tolerating inconsistency, or accepting behavior they once promised themselves they would never allow. At first, these compromises may seem minor, but over time they add up. Each time she ignores a red flag or makes an excuse for unacceptable behavior, she weakens her boundaries. Eventually, she finds herself in a relationship that no longer aligns with who she truly is, and yet she stays because she has already given so much of herself away. A man will only treat a woman at the level she allows. If she lets him walk over her boundaries, he will continue to do so. If she accepts broken promises and half-hearted love, that is what she will receive. A woman must understand that the right man will never require her to lower her standards to keep him. Instead, he will recognize her worth and do what is necessary to meet her expectations. Love is not about lowering oneself to accommodate another. It is about two people growing together in mutual respect and honor. The moment a woman compromises her standards, she gives up the very thing that makes her valuable, her dignity. A woman should never abandon her purpose for the sake of a relationship. Purpose is the reason she was created, the assignment she was given before she ever met a man. It is the calling that gives her life meaning and fulfillment. When a woman sets aside her dreams, passions, and goals to prioritize a man's desires over her own, she is not demonstrating love. She is sacrificing the very essence of who she is. Too many women enter relationships full of vision, ambition, and drive, only to slowly set their dreams aside in the name of love. They start making small compromises, putting their goals on hold, investing all their time in a man's needs and neglecting their own growth. At first, it may feel like devotion, but over time it turns into resentment. A woman who abandons her purpose to make a man happy eventually loses herself in the process. And when she looks back, she realizes that she gave up everything she once wanted, but still never received the love or fulfillment she hoped for. A strong relationship does not require a woman to shrink her destiny. The right man will never ask her to choose between love and purpose. He will support her in fulfilling her calling. A woman was not created to simply follow a man's dreams while leaving hers behind. She was designed to walk in her own purpose, to use her gifts, and to make an impact in the world. When she prioritizes her purpose, she does not lose love. She attracts the kind of love that honors who she is. A man who truly values her will celebrate her dreams, not see them as competition. A woman must never let anyone convince her that love means giving up the very thing that makes her life meaningful. A woman should never tolerate disrespect in the name of love. The way a man treats her is a direct reflection of how much he values and honors her presence in his life. When a woman allows disrespect, whether in words, actions, or neglect, she sends the message that poor treatment is acceptable. Over time, this erodes her self-worth, making her feel as if she must endure mistreatment to keep a relationship alive. Disrespect does not always start as something obvious. It can begin with small, subtle acts, ignoring her feelings, dismissing her opinions, or making sarcastic remarks that belittle her. At first, she may overlook these things, convincing herself that they are not serious or that they will change with time. But the moment she begins justifying bad behavior, she gives permission for it to continue. What she tolerates today will only grow tomorrow. A man who knows he can cross boundaries without consequences will continue to push them further, testing how much she is willing to accept before she finally says, enough. A woman must understand that respect is not something she should have to beg for. It is something she must require. A man who truly values her will not just claim to love her, he will show it through his actions. He will listen to her, honor her boundaries, and treat her with kindness. If a woman finds herself constantly making excuses for a man's behavior, feeling disrespected or questioning her worth, she must recognize that love is not meant to make her feel small. A relationship built on real love will never require a woman to lower her standards just to be treated with the basic dignity she deserves. She must decide early on that she would rather stand alone than settle for a love that diminishes her. A woman should never become financially dependent on a man. Financial independence is not just about money. It is about freedom, security, and self-respect. When a woman gives up control over her financial well-being and relies completely on a man for survival, she places herself in a vulnerable position where her choices are no longer her own. At first, financial dependence may seem comfortable, even desirable, especially when a man promises to take care of everything. But what happens when circumstances change? What if the relationship turns toxic? The man becomes controlling, or financial support is used as a tool for manipulation. A woman who has no financial independence may find herself stuck in a situation she cannot escape, not because she wants to stay, but because she has no means to leave. Money should never be the reason a woman remains in an unhealthy relationship. Being financially independent does not mean rejecting a man's provision or refusing to receive love and care. It means having the ability to stand on her own if necessary. It means having skills, education, or resources that allow her to make decisions based on what is right for her, not based on dependency. A A woman should always have her own savings, income, or investments, not as a sign of distrust, but as a safeguard for her dignity. A healthy relationship is built on partnership, not control. A man who truly values a woman will respect her financial independence and support her in building a life where she has power over her own future. A woman must understand that financial stability is not just about luxury. It is about having the ability to walk away from anything that no longer serves her. When she controls her finances, she controls her destiny. A woman should never silence her voice for the sake of keeping a man. Her thoughts, opinions, and emotions are valuable, and any relationship that requires her to suppress them is not love. It is control. A woman's voice is an extension of her identity, and when she stops expressing herself to avoid conflict, to please a man, or to maintain peace, she slowly fades into the background of her own life. At first, silencing herself may seem like an act of love or sacrifice. She may believe that keeping quiet will prevent arguments, make her more likable, or keep the relationship strong. But over time, this silence becomes a prison. She stops speaking up about her needs, her concerns, and her boundaries. She tolerates what makes her uncomfortable and forces herself to accept things she knows are wrong. Eventually, she loses her confidence, and the very essence of who she is begins to disappear. A strong relationship is built on open communication and mutual respect. A man who truly values a woman will not only allow her to speak, he will encourage her to do so. He will listen to her opinions, consider her feelings, and respect her perspective. But if a man consistently dismisses her, interrupts her, or makes her feel like her voice does not matter, she must recognize that she is in an environment where she is not truly valued. No woman should ever feel like she has to remain silent to be loved. Her voice was given to her for a reason: to express, to impact, and to lead. If speaking her truth makes a man uncomfortable, then he is not the right man for her. A woman must always remember that her voice carries power, and the right person will never ask her to give it up. A woman should never force love. Love is not something that can be demanded, manipulated, or chased. It must be freely given. When a woman tries to force a man to love her, to stay with her, or to see her worth, she places herself in a position of desperation rather than dignity. True love does not require begging, convincing, or constant effort to prove one's value. A woman who forces love often ignores the signs that a man is not emotionally present or invested. She makes excuses for his lack of effort, justifies his inconsistency, and holds on to false hope that he will change. She may try harder, doing more, giving more, and sacrificing more, thinking that if she just proves her worth, he will finally choose her. But love that must be earned is not love at all. It is emotional labor that leaves a woman exhausted, unfulfilled, and questioning her own value. A man who truly loves a woman will pursue her with intention. He will not make her feel like an option, keep her waiting, or leave her wondering where she stands. He will be clear in his actions, consistent in his words, and committed to building a relationship based on mutual effort. If a man is distant, uninterested, or unwilling to invest in a future, then the woman must recognize that forcing something that is not meant for her will only lead to heartbreak. Love is not a game of persuasion. A woman should never lower herself to the point where she is fighting for attention or affection. When love is real, it flows naturally without manipulation or struggle. A woman who knows her worth understands that she is not meant to chase a man. She is meant to be valued by the one who truly sees her. A woman must understand that love should never come at the cost of her identity, dignity, or purpose. The moment she sacrifices herself to keep a man, she is no longer in a relationship, she is in captivity. True love does not require her to shrink, to compromise her standards, or to beg for respect. It empowers her, honors her, and allows her to thrive as the woman she was created to be. A man who truly values a woman will never ask her to give up her voice, her dreams, or her independence. He will cherish her for who she is, not for what she is willing to sacrifice. If love demands that she abandon herself, then it is not love, it is control, and she must have the strength to walk away. A woman's worth is not determined by how much she can endure for a man. Her worth is in her confidence, her wisdom, and her unwavering commitment to herself. She must never forget that the right love will never require her to become less of herself. It will only encourage her to become more. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I am so grateful you have joined me today, and I can't wait to dive into something that has the power to change your life. Ladies, you may not always realize the depth of a man's observation. You think he only notices the obvious, the way you look, how you dress, or how you smile. But what if I told you that a man, a real man, is watching much more than what meets the eye? He is watching things you don't even know he sees. He sees the way you carry yourself. Before you say a word, your presence has already spoken. He notices whether you walk with grace or insecurity, whether you step into a room with confidence or doubt. It's not about beauty, it's about the quiet power of knowing who you are. A woman who knows her worth doesn't need to demand attention. She commands it naturally. He notices your reactions to the smallest things. When life tests you, how do you respond? Are you patient or easily irritated? Do you respond with grace or do you let frustration take over? A man pays attention when you don't think he's looking. How you treat a stranger, how you handle an inconvenience, how you react when things don't go your way. Your response speaks louder than words. He listens to the words you use. The way you speak reveals the kind of heart you have. A woman who speaks life, who uplifts and encourages, is unforgettable. But a woman who constantly complains, who spreads negativity, unknowingly reveals the condition of her soul. A wise woman understands the power of her words. Because a man is not just hearing, he is feeling them. He sees how you treat people who have nothing to offer you. A man notices whether you show respect to everyone or only to those who benefit you. How you treat the waiter, the janitor, the person who cannot advance your life in any way. That is a test of your true character. A woman who walks with dignity respects all people, not just the ones she needs. He watches your laughter, not the forced one, not the polite one, but the real one, the one that escapes when you're truly happy. A man notices what makes you laugh, how freely you express joy, and whether your laughter is filled with warmth or just an empty sound. Joy is magnetic. A woman who can find light even in dark times carries something rare. He sees the small details you remember. A woman who listens, who pays attention, who recalls the little things. She stands apart, not because of grand gestures, but because of her thoughtfulness. A man will never tell you outright, but when you remember something small about him, when you show care in quiet ways, he notices. It tells him you see him not just for what he can do, but for who he is. And lastly, he sees your strength when life gets hard. A woman's true essence is revealed in difficult moments. Do you crumble or do you endure? Do you let storms shake your identity or do you stand firm? A man notices if you are the kind of woman who carries herself with faith and resilience, even when no one is watching. Strength is not in how loud you are, it is in how steady you remain when everything around you is uncertain. Ladies, you don't have to try to impress a man with what is seen, because what makes you unforgettable is what is unseen. True beauty is found in character, in grace, in how you walk through life with purpose. When a man sees that, he sees something rare, and rare is worth pursuing. A man notices more than just a woman's appearance. He observes the way she carries herself. Long before she speaks, her presence has already communicated something about her. The way she walks, the way she holds her head, the way she enters a room. These things tell him about her confidence, her self-respect, and how she perceives herself. A woman who knows her worth doesn't shrink in the presence of others, nor does she demand attention. She simply exists with an assurance that draws people toward her. Posture speaks volumes. A woman who walks upright with grace and poise radiates a quiet strength. She doesn't have to announce her confidence. It is evident in her movements. There's a difference between walking into a room unsure of oneself and stepping in with a sense of belonging. A man notices if a woman avoids eye contact, if she hesitates when she moves, or if she stands firm, comfortable in her own skin. Beyond physical posture, there is an unseen energy that a woman carries. It is in the way she handles herself in different situations. Does she panic under pressure, or does she remain composed? Is she constantly fidgeting, or does she move with intention? A man notices the difference between a woman who is overwhelmed by life and one who walks with peace, even in the middle of chaos. A woman's presence is shaped by how she treats herself, her self-care, her attention to the little things, and her ability to embrace who she is without seeking validation. These all speak louder than words. The way she dresses, not in extravagance, but in a way that reflects self-respect, does not go unnoticed. Every detail, from the way she lifts her chin to how she responds to being observed, reveals the depth of her inner confidence. A man pays attention to the way a woman reacts to the smallest things, even when she thinks no one is watching. It's not the big moments that reveal who she truly is, but the quiet, everyday situations that show her heart. He notices how she responds when things don't go as planned, whether she gets frustrated over a minor inconvenience or remains calm. The way she handles delays, unexpected changes, or even a spilt drink speaks volumes about her patience and emotional stability. He watches how she treats people in passing, the ones who have no direct impact on her life. Does she acknowledge the waiter with kindness, or does she act as if they are invisible? Does she show gratitude for the small things, or does she take them for granted? These reactions, though seemingly insignificant, reveal her character. Even in conversations, a man notices her tone when she disagrees. Does she respond with respect, or does she become defensive and dismissive? A woman who can handle differences of opinion without arrogance shows emotional intelligence. It's not just about what she says, but how she says it. A gentle response, a patient answer, a thoughtful pause. These are signs of a woman who understands the power of her reactions. He also sees how she responds to the joy of others. Is she genuinely happy when someone else succeeds, or does she become quiet and withdrawn? A woman's ability to celebrate others, to react with encouragement rather than envy, is something a man takes note of, even if he never mentions it. Small reactions reveal the truth of a person's heart, far more than words ever could. A man listens carefully, even when a woman thinks he isn't paying attention. Her words reveal more than just her thoughts. They expose her heart, her mindset, and her true nature. The way she speaks about herself, about others, and about life tells him everything he needs to know. A woman who constantly speaks negatively, who complains about every little thing, unknowingly pushes people away. But a woman who speaks with wisdom, kindness, and grace draws others in without even trying. He notices the tone she uses, not just with him, but with everyone around her. Is her voice filled with warmth, or does she sound harsh and impatient? Does she choose words that uplift, or does she tear people down with criticism? A woman who understands the power of her words is careful about what she says, because she knows that what she speaks reflects the state of her soul. Even in casual conversations, a man pays attention. The way she speaks about her past, does she constantly bring up old wounds, or does she talk about growth? The way she speaks about her friends, does she celebrate them, or does she gossip and belittle them behind their backs? A man notices if a woman uses her words to inspire and encourage, or if she spreads negativity and drama. He listens to how she speaks to herself. A woman who constantly doubts her worth, who always downplays her abilities, reveals an insecurity that no amount of external beauty can hide. But a woman who speaks life into herself, who chooses words of faith, confidence, and purpose, carries a presence that cannot be ignored. Words are not just sounds, they shape reality, and a man watches closely to see what kind of reality a woman is building with hers. A man pays close attention to how a woman treats people, especially those who can do nothing for her. Respect is not just about how she behaves toward those she admires or benefits from. It is revealed in her interactions. He notices whether she acknowledges the presence of others. He watches how she speaks to waiters, cashiers, and service workers. Does she say thank you with sincerity, or does she act as if their presence is insignificant? Does she show patience when someone is struggling, or does she grow irritated and dismissive? A woman's respect for others is a reflection of her heart, and a man instinctively understands that how she treats strangers is a glimpse into how she will eventually treat him. Respect is not just about words, it is in her actions. A woman who listens when someone speaks, who does not interrupt or talk over others, who values different perspectives without belittling them, carries a presence that commands admiration. A man notices if she rolls her eyes when she disagrees, if she mocks or speaks with sarcasm, or if she allows people to express themselves with dignity. He also sees how she respects boundaries, whether she honors people's time, whether she gossips or keeps confidences, whether she seeks to understand rather than judge. A woman who respects others naturally earns respect in return. She does not demand it, she embodies it. The way she interacts with the world around her speaks volumes. And even when she thinks no one is watching, a man is quietly taking note of the woman she truly is. A man notices a woman's laughter more than she realizes. It is not just the sound, but the sincerity behind it that captures his attention. There is a difference between polite laughter and genuine joy. And he can tell when a woman is laughing because she truly feels it versus when she is forcing a reaction. A real, unguarded laugh is a glimpse into her soul, revealing a side of her that is free, comfortable, and authentic. He observes what makes her laugh. Does she find joy in simple moments, or does she only laugh when something grand happens? Does she have the ability to find humor even in difficult times, or is her joy dependent on circumstances? A woman who can laugh freely without hesitation, without pretense, carries a spirit that is light and inviting. Her laughter is not just about amusement, it is a reflection of how she embraces life. There is something magnetic about a woman whose laughter comes from a place of real happiness. It is different from forced giggles used to impress or fit in. A man notices when she laughs without worrying about appearances, when she allows herself to be in the moment rather than calculating how she is perceived. That kind of laughter is rare because it is pure, unfiltered, and real. He also pays attention to how she laughs with others. Does she laugh at people's expense, or does she laugh in a way that brings people closer? A woman who uses her joy to uplift, who shares her laughter without cruelty or mockery, creates an atmosphere where people feel safe and valued. A man may not always mention it, but he remembers the sound of a woman's real laughter because it is a sound that stays with him long after the moment has passed. A man notices when a woman pays attention to the little things, even when she doesn't think it matters. It is not about grand gestures or extravagant displays of affection. It is the small, seemingly insignificant details that reveal how deeply she observes and cares. He sees when she remembers his favorite meal, when she notices the way he likes his coffee, or when she recalls something he mentioned in passing weeks ago. These little moments tell him that she listens, that she values what he says, and that she pays attention beyond the surface. He watches how she interacts with the world around her. Does she notice when someone is feeling left out? Does she take the time to acknowledge small acts of kindness? A woman who is attentive to details sees what others overlook. She picks up on the mood of a room, the slight change in someone's tone, the unspoken emotions beneath a person's words. This awareness speaks of a heart that is sensitive and considerate. A man also observes how she takes care of herself, not in a materialistic way, but in the way she presents herself with intention. Does she put thought into how she carries herself, how she maintains the things she values, how she appreciates beauty in the simple things? Her ability to notice and cherish details in her own life reflects how she will treat others beyond actions. He notices the details in her words, the way she chooses them carefully, the way she remembers past conversations, the way she offers encouragement in just the right moment. Small details reveal what is truly in a person's heart, and a woman who pays attention to them without seeking recognition carries a depth that does not go unnoticed. A man notices how a woman carries herself when life becomes difficult. It is in the quiet moments of struggle, in the times when no one is there to offer reassurance, that her true strength is revealed. He watches not just how she endures hardships, but how she responds to them. Does she panic, or does she remain steady? Does she let frustration control her, or does she move forward with grace? Strength is not always loud. Sometimes it is found in the quiet resilience of a woman who refuses to be broken by circumstances. He observes the way she holds herself when things don't go her way. Does she blame others, or does she take responsibility for what she can control? A woman who remains composed under pressure, who doesn't let emotions dictate her actions, carries a strength that speaks louder than words. She does not need to declare her resilience. He pays attention to her ability to find peace in the storm. A woman who can stay calm in moments of chaos, who does not crumble under stress, brings a sense of security that is rare. Her presence alone can shift the atmosphere, not because she forces control, but because she knows who she is, regardless of what is happening around her. Even in moments of deep pain, he notices how she chooses to carry herself. Does she allow her trials to harden her, or does she remain kind? Does she turn her struggle into bitterness, or does she use it to grow? A woman's silent strength is not about how loudly she fights back, but about how steadfast she remains when everything around her is uncertain. A man may never say it out loud, but he notices far more than a woman realizes. Beyond beauty, beyond words, beyond what is obvious, he watches the details that reveal her true essence, her posture, her reactions, her words, her respect, her laughter, her attentiveness, and her silent strength. All of these shape the impression she leaves behind. What truly captivates him is not perfection, but authenticity. A woman who knows her worth, who carries herself with grace, who respects others, and who remains strong in the face of life's challenges becomes unforgettable. She does not demand admiration. She naturally commands it by the way she lives. True beauty is not in what is seen, but in what is felt. And the woman who embraces this truth leaves a lasting impact without ever having to try.